All right, so Kelly, if 3 times is a charm, what's 4 times? Annoying?
4 times is platinum.
4 times we are at platinum level here, folks. From this week's short attention span webinar, this is the 4th time we've tried to record this material.
Oh, please.
I know. Please, Internet, stay strong. You know, we've got Al Gore here holding 2 ends of the plug together. And just stand tall, Al. We're almost done. So let's talk about quickly what it is we need to have ready and what other information we need to have before we make that prospecting call. That's that first thing. The first one might seem kind of obvious, Kelly. I mean, duh, we need someone to call on. Yeah, we need a company. We need a target. Make sure it's target market. We've talked about that before in these programs. But it's not just the buyer of the document, right? We want the originator. Now, 13 versions ago when we first started recording this, what did you call revenue? What was the phrase?
Oh, people with revenue responsibility, people whose job it is to make sure that whatever product is or service they're selling, that they sell more of it. So these are people that are responsible for the brand managers, product managers, directors of marketing, chief marketing executives, people in sales sometimes, and sometimes those are kind of co-positions. They might be sales and marketing. Yes, it's people who are, I always joke that they're the people that are staying awake up at night worrying about how to launch their next product or something like that.
But note that there is a different conversation to be had with each different level. So you wouldn't have the same conversation with a C-level as you would a VP of sales or an administrative assistant.
Right.
And the idea, again, is to figure out what is keeping them up at night. Administrative assistant might look at it and say, ugh, one more thing. I can't believe I got one more thing to manage. Okay, so if I'm trying to sell print, packaging, labels, signage, whatever, the message I want to get across is don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. Don't worry about it. I'm going to communicate to you. This is off your desk. We got this. Mm-hmm. If it's a product manager, then they're tossing and turning at night saying, boy, I got this product rollout coming out, and this is my job. I mean, this is really, if I nail this, I could really go places. Okay, if I know that, then and I can direct my comments to say, I can help you to achieve that goal. Mm-hmm. Now, it's not just someone to call on. Moreover, or I should say in addition, information on that contact. So Kelly, 3 questions, and you should be good at this by now because you've answered it 3 times. Why do we want the information? What do we want, and where do we look?
We want the information because it differentiates us from all the other calls that they're making that just say, do you buy printing? I sell printing. So you are creating a message by the research that you've done and the information that you've gathered. You've been able to create a message that says, I'm different. I'm here to help you. I'm here to be of service. I know stuff, and I can be a creative, trusted advisor to you if you give me the chance. So that's why we want it. We want it, as we talked about before, of a lot of different people within the organization. And where we find it, this is the important part, we find it on their website. Sometimes if you navigate around a website enough, you'll find a list of contacts or departments or directors, things like that. It might be in their press release section. LinkedIn is by far one of the best kind of repositories of individuals. You can look them up by their, individuals themselves. You can look them up by their companies. And here you might want to do something like look at where they went to school, where they worked before, who their coworkers are, things like that. So that's the kind of information that we're trying to gather so that we can make a call that sounds different than what everybody else is saying.
And there it is. There's the differentiator. A lot of companies have bios right on their website. I think a lot of design companies, ad agencies, marketing firms, things like that, they put cutesy stuff up there, like they have crazy, conky questions, and they have got answers. Something that says, I did some research, something where you can connect with someone, and it humanizes the whole thing. So next up, you want to have something of value to say. This one we've talked about ad infinitum. This comes from their website. This comes from the Google search that you've done on them. The purpose of my call is, boom, that's the piece that you have to have. This one above everything. If you don't have it, don't bother picking up the phone. That's all I'm going to say about that one, because we've covered that one numerous times. Next up, we want to have a valuable voicemail in mind, a valuable voicemail. Now, Kelly, does that mean we want to have that template that we talk about, or just the content? Do you have like a static thing that you say to everyone?
This is one of the very first things I do with all of my customers that I'm working on with communication is, yeah, you have to sit down and sketch it out. I say you need to make a script until it rolls out of your mouth like your Social Security number. You've got to have it sketched out and think about it from the person on the other end of the phone. This is one thing I say to all of my clients too. Imagine it's you listening to this voicemail. What's going to get your attention? And then they all go, oh, yeah, that's a good point. So again, it's got to be something a little dazzling. And Bill, we've talked about this a lot of times. If you can't come up with anything very specific based on the research that you've done, you're going to make a promise to do one of two things. I can increase the value of your documents or reduce their usage cost. That's going to get somebody's attention. But again, we hope that you, through your research, have found something to kind of glom onto that's going to be of interest to them because you've looked into them personally or their organization specifically and found something to talk about.
And then finally, you want a next step. And here again, this is one of those simple things, Kelly, that you get to the end of that voicemail and you go, and you forget. Okay, so what's that next step in the process? This is part of the voicemail. This is the last thing that you want to say. Hey, Kelly, today is Wednesday. I'm going to call you again before the week is out. Or I will stop by and see you. I will stick something in the mail. You want to have that next step in mind. So that's it. Those are the 5 basic things that we want you to have prior to picking up the phone. What you'll find is with this mental checklist, bam, 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 what happens is you get this confidence that you're ready for the call, right? And if the customer picks up the phone, you're ready. If the customer doesn't pick up the phone or goes to voicemail, you're ready. But there's a confidence in either one of those outcomes, as opposed to saying, I don't know what that voicemail is going to sound like. Think this through. It gets easier. It becomes second nature to you. But look at that list and go, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom, ready. Let's go. All right. Kelly, you are now free to pick up the phone and make prospecting calls.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Thanks, Bill.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you on the next Short Attention Span webinar.